Welcome to Time Warner Cable's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. Our guest, Adam Schiff, member of the U.S. Congress. In the 90s, we saw some gun control legislation passed. Dianne Feinstein spearheaded it. In the last decade, some challenges to more gun control legislation. Many thought in the wake of the Virginia Tech massacre, Gabby Gifford shooting, now the Aurora massacre, that we would see gun control legislation, but I don't see it being submitted and supported in any serious way. Am I off base?
Unfortunately, no. There's such a powerful constituency and lobbying arm that attacks any kind of gun safety, gun reform legislation that it is extraordinarily difficult to pass. But that's crazy. People don't need assault weapons with extended ammunition clips to defend their home or to hunt.
Yeah, so talk to us about that. I mean, here we are in California, and it's very different than in Oklahoma and Kentucky. I mean, I take nothing away from the Second Amendment, but there is a different view in California. Sure, there are people who are very firm on gun rights, but it's so different than what's considered Second Amendment protected than in our friends in the southern states.
It's absolutely true. We take a very different view of the issue here in suburban Los Angeles or urban Los Angeles than other parts of the country. I remember when I was first elected, a colleague of mine from Oklahoma and I were on a panel talking about the gun issue. And many thought in 2000 that the gun issue decided the presidential race. We were asked, what does that issue mean in your district? And I said, well, here in LA, when people think about guns, it's not about hunting or self-protection. It's about shootings in daycare centers. It's about road rage. My colleague from Oklahoma said, well, in Oklahoma, it's not about self-protection or hunting either. It's about Lexington and Concord. And
the Revolutionary War.
Well, in his state, in his district, it was part and parcel with what people thought it meant to be an American. That right of gun ownership was really just a part of the American Constitution in more ways than literally.
But then why is it that it goes to the next level, that any attempt to limit magazines or assault weapons is seen as infringing on the rights that we had at Lexington and Concord?
Yeah. Well, I think we have seen, an increasingly extreme position on behalf of groups like the NRA, which didn't always used to oppose everything. Now I think either there's a slippery slope philosophy that says, well, we can't prohibit plastic guns whose only purpose would be to smuggle through metal detectors at airports or whatnot. Can't even take practical steps like that because, well, if you open the door for any gun regulation, then you open the door for other gun regulation. But, we can't live like that. It makes no sense whatsoever.
The flip side, though, is I understand the view that Al Gore may have lost the presidency because rural voters abandoned him because of the gun issue. But would those rural voters be voting for Barack Obama anyway? I mean, is there really a risk to Democrats, which you are, if you support what some would argue is reasonable gun control legislation?
I don't think so at all. And whenever there's a really close race, as the Bush-Gore race was, you can point to anything as being decisive. And I suppose there's some merit in the sense that anything that would have tipped any state could make a difference. But you could say that it'd probably be about a dozen different issues. The bottom line is, we need to try to step back and decide what's in the best interest of the country, what can be done constitutionally. I think there are a number of things, for example, like the assault weapons ban, like going after the straw purchasers who are allowing the massive trafficking of high-caliber weapons into Mexico, fueling the gun wars and drug wars south of our border. These are responsible steps we can take that don't interfere with the rights of ordinary Americans.
So in 2013, might we see a gun control legislation making it through the House and Senate?
I hope so. I hope it doesn't take, another tragedy and yet another tragedy and yet another tragedy to stimulate us to act. We should take responsible steps. I think we can. I think we will.
Okay.
But we need a stiffening of our resolve.
He's Adam Schiff, member of U.S. Congress. I'm Brad Pomerance. Thanks for watching Time Warner Cable's Local Edition.